Hi, everyone, and hope everyone's doing great. And thank you for watching again. And hopefully, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And feel free to um, send questions or comments or ideas, that sort of thing. I love dialogue; helps me learn too, and that sort of thing. Uh, and I love just the discourse in general. I think it's great. So thank you so much for that. In fact, speaking of which, so had a great idea. Um, when talking with one of my friends in the comment section the other day to do a video on reincarnation and karma. So thank you so much for that. And to begin with, and I'll try to stay on topic. Sometimes I feel like when I talk, I can go off in like a million different directions. So I'll try to stay focused. Reincarnation is basically the idea that we are reborn in the physical body. And there's a variety of reasons for that sort of thing. So it could be, for example, like a lot of religions theorize, perhaps a god is taking human form, or this is our second or third time on this earth to learn a lesson, or we have to do something in order to absolve ourselves and settle some sort of like karmic debt, kind of like balancing out and a contract, really, if you will, until we are free of that particular contract, and then we don't reincarnate. So there's a lot of different ideas behind that, but just to kind of summarize, I think that kind of covers it as far as showing it physically. So to begin with the fundamentals, there are remember, everything has a duality. So if for every one thing, it has a counterpart. That's just the nature of things. So that being said, if we start with the basics, existence itself, there's a simple duality that underlies it. So physical and non-physical. So, and we are very much a bit of both. So like we have our physical bodies, and then our minds and our thoughts and our memories, our soul, basically, and that what contains everything is non-physical. So there are two basically halves, if you will, of existence where things can live and exist and that sort of thing. Physical realms and the non-physical realms, which I usually call like the spiritual realms, for example. And this is just like evolution can occur here in the physical half, evolution can occur in the non-physical half, in the spiritual realms as well. So all of this sprang forth from evolution in the physical half. There is another thriving, what I usually call the afterlife, is a thriving infinite realm of pure infinite possibility, period, in the non-physical half. That's where infinity is realized and mastered and that sort of thing. It is here in the physical realms too, like space is infinite, time is infinite, that sort of thing. So there are certain concepts that can be realized or conceptualized here as well. But basically, evolution occurred in both of these realms, and there is no interference between the two. So this place wasn't created, and it's not controlled or managed or anything like that. Any person or being in the spiritual realms actually cannot or does not attempt to interfere with our lives here. Meaning, the bodies that we are born in, this is our first time ever. Just like people can be born here in the physical realms or realm, same thing can happen in the afterlife too. So people can have kids and you can raise families just like you can here. And there's just more pure possibility over there, and everything's more perfect and realized, and everything, infinite knowledge, health, age, wisdom, peace, love, that sort of thing. Everything you can conceptualize infinitely on the that spectrum of existence is simply true, and that's where we'll be someday, and that's great. And I think that's a wonderful thing to realize. Now, just like people can be born over there, people can be born over here. So It sucks that, I mean, it depends how you look at it, that we're born over here. We experience this realm of physical matter. It's much more limiting. It's much more, it's tied into, cycles of, what's the word? Impermanence, basically, because our bodies will grow and die, wither away. Plants, erosion, anything physical, it has a cycle, for example, that it will kind of move through or live through until its final end. So, but because we're comprised of non-physical energy as well, the nice thing is this sort of thing can be mapped and preserved. And this, the afterlife, those in the afterlife, which is far, far predates physical evolution, have found a way to do that. And it's a real fascinating story, too. That's a whole other video in and of itself. But I've got the information for that, too. Basically, to kind of touch on the fundamentals again. The duality. So pure infinite space, everything that is physical also has a non-physical counterpart. It just does for some reason. That's the fundamental nature of everything. So, and I don't just mean our minds, because our minds don't really have a physical counterpart. I mean like my hand or your car, everything physical about it, down to the tiniest detail, also has an exact non-physical counterpart existing in the same space. So everything that's physical simply has a non-physical counterpart. And that's exactly how we can communicate with people in the afterlife. They are of non-physical energy. We have our five senses that we can use non-physically as well. That's how they can see us. And that's how they can communicate with us, because we're made of non-physical energy. And for example, our physical ears do not hear thoughts. It's our minds. It's our, quote unquote, non-physical ears that are doing that. So that is how they communicate with us. And really, if not for this like inherent duality and everything, it would be probably impossible, if not a lot harder, to try to communicate or preserve everything that was once physical because of that. So that being said, when we're born here, each person is unique, and everything that evolves over their lifetime, their identity, their soul, their experiences, their knowledge, their language, their information is unique to them. So there's no reincarnation. It's not even allowed. So from what I've been told and explained, people can't reincarnate here. These vessels are unique to the individual that are born here. Same goes for all forms of life, animals, plants, you name it. So everything is brand new life here in the non-physical half of eternity. So that's respected, meaning so that kind of negates the idea of reincarnation, because people can't just come and take over a physical body. This is simply brand new to the individual. This is their body. This is their life, that sort of thing. So that being said, once we do die, though, our lives just pick up where we left off, quite literally. So it doesn't matter, believe it or not, for good, bad, or otherwise. People that are good, people that are evil, and people that are, just somewhere along the spectrum, the whole spectrum, in other words. No matter what, all life is preserved, because it's realized that on this half, people who are born and live in the physical half, there's a very enlightened, benevolent society that has existed a long, long time. They're the ones who carry over everything that was once physical, so it remains alive and carries on into the afterlife. So they recognize that, people don't know how it works down here, and this is our first time at it, and it has to be fair, and it has to be fair for everybody. And that is why everybody enters the afterlife equally and neutrally. So there is no judgment, there is no nothing for people, even for people who did bad and did evil, that sort of thing. There's no karmic debt, anything like that. Everyone, believe it or not, is treated equally when they enter, and they are reawakened, made whole, and explained what happened and how everything works, and then they're just allowed to enter the afterlife. So that is exactly how that works, and there's really there's no tie-in as far as how we live or what we have to do. People, like, for example, in other words, how we enter the afterlife. There's no heaven, there's no hell, there's no purgatory, there's no judgment, there's no reincarnation, excuse me, there's no karmic debt. How you die, for example, if it's tragic, like if it's a suicide, a lot of people think that souls wander. That's not allowed either. So everything, once life carries on, or I'm sorry, perishes, it is immediately taken elsewhere to be reawakened and then acclimated into the afterlife. It's a very perfect, peaceful, neutral process for everyone, and everyone's treated equally. So there's no such thing as wandering souls. There's no such thing as where everyone goes when you die, like it's different, that sort of thing. Same process for everybody, and that's why. So literally, there are these two forms of existence side by side, physical, non-physical, and we can interact, and that's how we communicate, with each other, is using our non-physical senses, and their ability to see us and preserve our souls, like when we die. So the non-physical aspect. There's a process behind that, and that sort of thing. So that being said, that kind of sums it up, I think, in a general manner. So I hope I touched on all the key points. I think so. And I hope that helped explain it too. Now, when we do enter the afterlife too, just as kind of a side note, everyone is free to literally move forward and do as they please. There's rules and everything, of course, over there, and societies and places and planes and planets and realms and dimensions. And remember, all things are possible over there. So, but you're allowed to do, once you're acclimated and explained, everything once you enter the afterlife, you're free to do whatever you want. So if you want to continue living, remember, there's no physicality in the afterlife, but you have a non-physical body. It's the same thing. You can still have all five senses. If you want to continue to experience your an earthly life, absolutely. So if you want to experience pain, it's an option, or sadness or sorrow. That's totally up to you. Those things can be totally removed or negated, or you could be in a state of peace and love and infinite intelligence and that sort of thing at all times too, if you want to. Or you could just move forward and continue to learn like you did down here. You don't have to sleep, but you can if you want to. You don't have to eat, but you can if you want to. So the key words here are free will and infinite possibility, and that sums up what happens once you enter the afterlife. So, and I think it's great, and that's how it works. That's simply how it works. So, and that's exactly how life is carried over, thankfully too. So I'm sure eventually someone would have figured it out eventually. As far as being able to help or preserve life from the physical dimension to the non-physical, but thankfully there is a process in place, and it is perfected, and it is applied to all, which is great. So, but that's how it works, and the reasons why, because this is our first time here. No one knows everything that perishes. We are here to basically, we're here. We found ourselves alive when we were born. So whatever you want to do in this life, it's truly up to you. So have a great positive and a life, the best that you can, just knowing that one day we are all going to die. We do share that in common. But when we do, we will all be awakened, and we will all be immortal and made whole. So I think that's wonderful. I think that sums it up, hopefully. So hopefully that was helpful and informative. And of course, if you have any questions, that sort of thing, please let me know. And hopefully you liked the video, and there's more to come. So thank you for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you very much. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.